Obama has warned that America faces a day of reckoning. In his first address to Congress since he took office, he stressed the severity of the economic crisis and said more money would be needed to bail out troubled banks. President Obama said America would emerge stronger, and now is the time to act boldly and wisely. Richard Lister reports from Washington.
The President of the United States.
The president came to Congress with the message of hope that got him elected. This was his chance to show America a path out of recession. But first, he acknowledged the pain that many Americans are going through.
It's the job you thought you'd retire from, but now have lost. The business you built your dreams upon, that's now hanging by a thread. The college acceptance letter your child had to put back in the envelope.
Bringing back long-term prosperity, he said, would mean confronting the biggest policy challenges in America.
The only way this century will be another American century is if we confront at last the price of our dependence on oil and the high cost of health care, the schools that aren't preparing our children, and the mountain of debt they stand to inherit. That is our responsibility.
Energy, healthcare and education, three subjects on which other presidencies have stalled. And he said there may have to be more bank bailouts too.
So I know how unpopular it is to be seen as helping banks right now, especially when everyone is suffering in part from their bad decisions. I promise you, I get it. But I also know that in a time of crisis, we cannot afford to govern out of anger or yield to the politics of the moment.
He pointed out some special guests, a girl battling for a better education and a bank manager who'd shared his $60 million paycheck with his co-workers. Mr. Obama insisted that spirit would prevail.
We will rebuild, we will recover, and the United States of America will emerge stronger than before.
Everyone clapped, but there's precious little unity here. In Louisiana, the up-and-coming Republican governor made clear his party is skeptical.
Democratic leaders say their legislation will grow the economy. What it will do is grow the government, increase our taxes down the line, and saddle future generations with debt.
And despite the smiles, some Democrats are strongly resisting his plans to reform Social Security. Barack Obama is facing the worst economic crisis of any modern president. Tackling that while at the same time overhauling healthcare, energy policy, Social Security is an agenda of historic proportions. His job here was to persuade a nervous America that his plan will work. Richard Lister, BBC News, Washington.
Let's talk to our correspondent Jamie Kumarasamy in Washington now. I mean, President Obama is certainly going for the positive can-do attitude. How will that chime in with the American public?
I think it's what the American public wanted to hear. The opinion polls say his approval ratings are still high, but you talk to Americans around the country and they've been slightly worried over the last few weeks that he hasn't had the sense of hope and optimism that he had during his election campaign. They wanted to hear that, and they did hear that. They also heard a pretty tough message. He talked, as Richard said there, about this ambitious agenda for getting America out of its current crisis, and his message to his political opponents who have opposed him in Congress was pretty tough. He said, look, come with me for the sake of the American public, rise above the political differences. He also said, look, I know you disagree with the way I'm doing it in many respects, but your way over the last decade or so is what helped us get into this crisis. So he was tough and sober and also optimistic.
Jamie, thank you very much. The time is coming up to 1:20. Our top story this lunchtime.